Hi, this is Polly Mertens, and today's video we're going to be talking about that happiness trap, right? Or, there's a lot going on the internet about positive psychology and, being happy and setting your day and all that stuff. And I think it's good. And then I want to talk about some of the things that I think we want to clear up. And something that I want to put forth is, it's great to choose to be happy, choose to be positive, right? Like that is an ultimate goal. And, just being happy, right? Like, but what if you're told that you try to be happy and the one thing is keeping you from it, right? What if that's really what's getting in the way is I'm trying to be happy, I'm trying to be happy, right? What if happiness isn't a goal to be achieved, but it's like a symptom of something else, right? And I'm going to explain the real purpose of your emotions and why they're the most important roadmap that you have in understanding how to read them. Okay, so, you know, we're taught naively to look at life and try and control our feelings, right? Like, this emotional intelligence and and just like try and clean that up, right? And it's like trying to clean a window by painting over the dirt, right? These feelings are just a result of something deeper, right? It's pointing to something. And so I believe that we have this core positive energy pouring from us, like that is our life force energy, however yours comes forth from you. And there's just things that get in the way as we go about in the world, looking at situations, people, things that happen. And sometimes it's the stories that we tell ourselves about what's happening, right? The meaning that we're making in that moment. I'll give you an example that sets us up, right? Like that has us, it doesn't quite feel right. But often we're not really paying attention, right? And so it's not just about like, oh, I should just be happy and just put a smile on your face. That's not it, right? So it's looking at the filter through which we're, blocking or filtering this pure positive energy, right? So when we feel bad, it's not about like fixing the feeling and forcing positivity. It's like, well, you should just, buckle up, right? It's a misunderstanding of how our emotional guidance system actually works. It's like you've got a windshield and you just like put a coat of paint over a dirty windshield. It's like, oh yeah, we'll just cover that up here. We'll just put a smiley face on top of it. And the problem isn't the feeling. The problem is the belief behind it, or the story that you're telling us yourself about that feeling or that situation, right? So this morning I was talking to a gal and she was saying, I'm going to get in action and go into the deep end and just I'm going to like throw myself into the deep end. I've done it before, and that's like doing it scared, just like, just go for it. And I was like, well, from what I know about hypnotherapy and how the mind works, like we can create a context and a story about like what a situation is, right? Like, and I looked at that and I was like, that sounds terrifying. What are you doing? And then I thought about it and I was like, yes, she is doing something new that she's never done before. She's putting herself out there and marketing herself. And she's like, I'm going to make some YouTube videos. But having that context, like I'm going to jump into the deep end, like your little child was like, no way, right? So her emotional system is just like, I need to like, you know, like buckle up, we're going in, right? Like do it scared, there's this big challenge. And I was like, well, what if the framing was, you're just taking the next logical step. Like there's no water here. There's no deep end. None of that's here, right? Like don't even like start to create that because your childish mind is awfully influenced by creative visuals, right? So if that was an enjoyable thing, like we're going to go on a Ferris wheel, right? We're going to go on a roller coaster, and you like roller coasters, you've had good experiences, it'd be like, all right, fantastic, let's get in it, right? But for her, it was like just taking the next logical step. Like that just would, calm your nervous system. Because really what's going on there is like she's just learning how to make a YouTube video or posting a YouTube video, right? Not not a big deal, but telling yourself, I'm going to go and jump into the deep end. Hello, right? What is that going to introduce? So, the emotional frequency or your emotional guidance system, here's that story, here's that experience, sees that visual of like jumping on the deep end, and it's like, hell no, like fear comes up, right? So this emotional scale isn't like good or bad. It's just an objective roadmap to just tell you like, wow, you just created a possibility, you just created an experience, like what we're going to be doing that's terrifying, jumping in the deep end. So the top of the scale, I just want to explain that emotional scale. Like you've got those high vibration, high frequency, joy, love, appreciation, freedom, right? These are what you experience when your filter is clear, your energy is flowing, you're fully self-expressed, like, not hindered, let's say, by a visual or a story that you're telling, or a belief or a trauma that's getting in the way of your core energy. It's like, yes, I'm a yes for that, right? Like, I love it when my friend says, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no, right? Because there's something in there that's like, I'm not a yes for that. And saying I'm going to jump into the deep end, her body's like, no, right? But just saying, well, yeah, this is the next logical step, her body's like, okay, let's do it, right? So top of the scale is those, pure positive energy emotions, and the lower vibrations are fear, the anger, jealousy, depression, despair, things like that, loss, grief. These are the results of like dense, distorted filters, limiting beliefs, unresolved trauma, lots of things. I've got lots of other videos on that. But the goal isn't to jump from the bottom to the top, right? The goal is to simply find a thought that feels in that direction and feels in alignment, right? The story she was telling herself in that moment was giant pool jumping in, deep end. Holy crap. And it was like, if you want a better experience as you're doing that, right? How about I'm just taking my first step today. I'm going to make one video today and I'm going to learn from this. And it's just finding relief in that moment of something that feels better about the story that you're telling. So your emotions are these signals. It's a roadmap. It's like a GPS. Like, if you're feeling anger, if you're feeling, despair, that's your GPS telling you, man, the thought that you're having, the story that you're telling about this thing, the meaning that you're making up is focused on something, and that's causing you to feel bad. And that's just like information. Like, oh, okay, like I'm angry because there's something inside to look at, right? The feeling is not the problem. The feeling is just the signal. Okay, so, the one step up from this is, if you're in despair and you're trying to be happy, that's too big of a jump, too big of a leap. So the shift from despair to anger is actually one step up, right? So like move up that. I felt like, for me anyway, I wasn't sitting in her shoes with the jumping on the deep end, but I perceived it as she shared that with me. I was like, wow, I wouldn't want to jump in the deep end if I was a little girl. I could just hear the little girl in the background. I was like, what would I want instead? And I was like, yeah, I'm just taking the next, like just walking down a path. Like, oh, of course I will do this next, right? That just to me was like, yeah, okay, I'll do this. Like no angst against it. And it's finding that path of least resistance inside of your body, those emotions, right? The entire point of this emotional scale and understanding it is to show you the path of least resistance is the path to feeling better. It's not like just be happy. It's like what needs to be released? What do I need to let go of? Sometimes there's some inner deeper work, some old traumas. I've got other videos about that really need to be looked at, really need to be addressed. But the emotional guidance system isn't just always trying to be up here. It's just noticing, yeah, we're going to have situations, and this thing called life school is just teaching us what the present state is, what the present thought that I'm putting forth, the filter that I'm sending my energy out to this experience is being filtered through. And is that true? Like, do I want that? Like jumping off the deep end, or next logical step, taking a path, step down my path. So stop trying to be happy, right? And instead, just learn to read your emotional roadmap, right? When you feel bad, don't resist it. It's like, oh, okay, something to look at here, right? I would say I'm emotionally hijacked. That's one of my favorite words, especially when it's like in a relationship or you're talking with someone, you're having a conversation, having a meeting, something gets upset inside of you. First thing is like, notice what you're experiencing. Oh, okay, well, what's there, right? So noticing it has a message for me. Like, oh, wonder why that's upsetting to me. Like some people could say the same exact, or this, me and one other person could hear the same exact message and have two totally different responses to it. I've got something they don't. I get all upset about it, bent out of shape. They don't, right? So I'm like, what's going on inside of me? It's just a signal from my inner me saying, hey, something here is not okay. Or the way we're looking at something is, filtered through a lens, like it's not in the highest alignment. So your emotional freedom is not a place you have to get to, like getting to be happy. It's a place you're always coming from. It's always one thought away, one shift, one little piece of work sometimes, right? Like, oh, I can just let that go. Like, that's not even true, right? The work of Byron Katie. So I hope this has been helpful. Yes, I do want you to be happy, ultimately, of course, but I want you to learn how to use your emotional guidance, your emotional GPS, so you use it for your benefit. You don't fight against it. You don't like treat these emotions that are in lower frequency as like, that shouldn't be happening. I shouldn't have lower emotions. Hey, they're just a signal, like, piece of work, great. Something to work through, something to adjust, something to elevate, something to, in the world where we look at our mind as a giant supercomputer, it's time to upgrade. It's time to upgrade some beliefs. So hope that was helpful to you. If you liked it, please comment below, like, and subscribe.